Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you all for being here. Um, I wanted to tonight to talk to you in greater depth about your core and mentoring the boundaries and the integrity of that core. Given everything else that's happening in the world and how quickly things are shifting and moving around us, it is important that we maintain these boundaries better than we ever had before. Uh, Hold on a second, somebody's having a problem connecting. I have to send the link. Give me a minute, okay?
Sure.
So your call becomes extremely valuable and important right now because we're being asked to go into neutrality and to align ourselves to spirit and to God. And there are so many distractions, so many things that could easily keep us derailed us from that kind of like very precise thin line that we must stand upon. I remember one time reading somewhere that the path is like a razor's edge. One false move and you fall into a precipice. And I believe that to be the case right now. And so I spend a lot of my time trying to figure out a way to maintain my core and to maintain my integrity of my core. And I'm going to explain in great details today what actually I mean by that, okay? Because it's important for us to do this. I spoke about this briefly this morning, but I want to go into greater details about this. When you do the torsion field, the energy starts at the core of the planet. It moves through the bottom of your feet, counter-rotating. It extends through your center, the core of your being, and it goes outside of time and space into source. And it reverses the opposite way, clockwise and going down onto the core of the earth. That column inside that passes through the top of your head to the bottom of your feet is your core. And that core has to be maintained and it has to be in integrity. Now, most of us are empath, meaning that we sense and feel energetically through social intelligence and mirror neuron what other people are feeling. It is one thing to feel what other one is feeling. It is another thing to actually make it now a new reality and empath it completely. We need to be sensitive and listen to, this is what I was saying, that it's a razor's edge. We need to be sensitive to what other people are feeling, to sense and feel their needs. But we don't need to take their burden and their problem and make it our own. And this is true of solar flares, of any kind of energy that's going around the planet. You cannot allow it to become your default and inhabit your core. It is your responsibility to maintain your boundary or to figure out a way to remove from your core what doesn't belong. It is your responsibility to cast out what, what doesn't belong, it is your responsibility to figure out a way to return back into neutrality and to find the rest and the peace of God. So for me, maintaining that core is extremely important. So I spend a lot of time throughout the day sensing what that color feels like to me. And it's a great exercise also in listening to yourself, okay? Listening to yourself. You're not out there sensing what, you know, your friend Mary or your children are feeling. You're not out there trying to sense what's happening in the planet, what's happening with everyone else. You remain in yourself. And you multiple times a day, you try to if you're sensing everyone that's outside of yourself, you're doing it wrong. It's not ascension, it's distraction. It's complete distraction. It's not ascension. You should be maintaining the integrity and the boundary of the core. So when I am, sometimes when I wake up in the morning, not always, but sometimes, I get up and I can feel my core is not open. It's not in surrender. It feels like tight, constricted, like I have a belt around my chest or that I have difficulty breathing. And if that is the case, then you have allowed something to enter your core. You have allowed, you have a back door open and there is a distractions. There are distractions that are coming in that are causing you to empath, to accept, or to listen to something that's not necessarily yours. Sometimes it is mine, sometimes it is not. And again, if it's a back door, it means that 15 to 20% of that is mine, or even less than that, or 5% is mine. The inflation and how big it feels and how constricted I am, that's the agitation from one of the dark principalities or the fallen beings. I've spoken about them before, that either the archons, the deceiver, or a Hasatan. So something is inflating it. So I spend a lot of my time early in the morning simply sitting down. I have my cup of coffee first. I'm no good to somebody on the side of coffee. So coffee first, and then I go sit down and I begin to breathe very deeply with eyes closed, trying to sense what I'm feeling in the column. What am I feeling in my core? If it's tight and constricted, where is the tightness and the constriction? Is it at the bottom of my feet? Is it at my coccyx bone or rectum? Is it in my intestines? Is it in my lungs? Is it in my heart, my shoulders? Right now, my shoulder blades, or around that area of my shoulder blades, are giving me, there's tightness in that. So I'm dealing with that issue at the moment. And or is it in my head? Where is it exactly that this tightness is coming from? This constriction. Why am I not in the rest and the surrender of God? And what is the reason, you know? And at first, when and this is the goal, but at first what I do is that I simply do deep breath. Simply deep breath. Inhale deeply and exhale deeply. And I let my consciousness go to the point or the area where the constrictions and the tightness exists. And I breathe in deeply and slowly. And I let that part of my body, because the teacher is within. The teacher that's going to, you have an inner intelligence in you. That's your monad and your higher self that knows exactly what you need and what the solution set for every ill, every distraction, everything that you have. It's in there. It's in you. You must become extremely intimate with that inner intelligence. And as you begin to breathe in deeply and slowly, you let your awareness drop into the places where the conditions and the tightness and the discomforts may exist for you. And as you do this, you let whatever information, because it's a dialogue, it's a two-way street. You're not just going to try to cast out what's in there willy-nilly. Otherwise, the back door is still open. You need to understand and get wisdom, breakthroughs, and insight. So you're going to go into the location and you're going to basically generally query, because you don't know what you're going to find. You're just going to allow whatever information may be in that place by just breathing in deeply and slowly. And I usually repeat as I'm breathing in deeply and slowly, I release all attachments, fears, and control. So I'm thinking about that location specifically, and I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. And I repeat it several times as I'm breathing, thinking about that location or the sensation. And ultimately, something, an insight and a knowing that I didn't have before shows up. It could be a dream or kind of like a vignette of a vision. It could be the memory of something that happened in my past. It could be me thinking of an ancestor. It could be a connection to someone. It could be physical things in my body that I need to go to the doctor to address. And you will know it. It will tell you. And I'm going to give you examples of all of what I'm talking about in a second. It could be all kinds of things, because you're allowing your inner intelligence that comes from your monad and your mighty I am presence to communicate to you and to take control of your liberation, repair, and healing. You have to trust it. The first impression is the right answer. So whatever pops in first, that's what it is. And I can tell you that, for example, for me, there are times when my core is tight and restricted, and I realize as I'm doing the breathing exercise and I'm doing all of this, that I have to change my diet. I begin to realize that there are certain spices and things that I'm including in my seasoning that I have to remove. It's things that didn't bother me before, but as I'm becoming more refined in my consciousness, I'm becoming more elevated. These spices and food are holding me back and are dragging me, and I need to change them. There are moments where I have insights that are, as I'm doing this, I have insights that whatever it is that I'm feeling in that constriction, let's say it's connected to my abundance and my prosperity, and I realize I'm having issue flowing and manifesting, that blockage in the flow, in one instance, I realize is not connected to me. It's not my karma. Now, what do I mean by karma? Karma in Hebrew, it's tikkun. It means repair and correction. It's not you being a victim and you cannot do anything about it and you're going to suffer this thing for the rest of your life. That's not what karma is. Karma is nothing more than repair and correction. In Sanskrit, it actually means to do or to make. It's not a passive verb. It's a very active thing. It's something that you're doing to change. So when you begin to notice that you're under the influence of something that may be karmically related, you have to figure out is this karma yours? Because we have good karma, we have bad karma. We have things we're depositing in the cosmic bank, and we have things that are being stricken against us because of what we may have done in the past that's not in alignment with the laws of the universe. So we have to figure out which it is. And sometimes I notice that I have all this positive karma. And whatever it is that I'm going through is not mine. It's by association. So I want you to pay careful attention that when you're in your moments of crisis, and you're feeling in all kinds of ways that you're under attack and things are besieging you and touching you, is it really your own karma, meaning your personal karma yourself, or is it connected to friends or family members, people that are in your life that you're trying, and the more you try to control and trying to intercede for someone else and not allowing God to intercede, but for you to try to intercede for them, the more you will absorb other people's karma. This is that thin line. This is the razor's edge. You cannot try to intercede by trying to control what other people around you are feeling, seeing, by trying to constantly run after them, and you should be doing this, don't do that, change this, and trying to, that old saying, if everyone on the planet were to do exactly what I think, the world will be a perfect place. If this is you, you're going to absorb everyone's karma. Your core will never have peace. You will never have rest. Because what you need to do is that you have to surrender control of everyone's problem to God. So a lot of time, I'm saying this to you because this is something that's happening to me. Because even though consciously I know this, in my dreams at night, sometimes I travel and I go do things. When I wake up in the morning, in my dreams, I try to rescue people I love. And in the process of trying to rescue them, I absorb their karma. And I wake up in the morning, my core is not aligned. Because I'm holding somebody else's repair. What they should be doing for themselves, I'm trying to intercede and do it. So what you're doing is that when you try to correct somebody else's karma, you interfere with their growth. Sometimes they need to suffer. If they're suffering and you feel sorry for them and you're trying to intercede, sometimes they need to suffer. An entire people, a nation, they need to suffer and go through something in order for them to evolve. And it is through that pain and through that confrontation that a higher knowing, a greater insight, a major breakthrough will occur. And you standing in the way or interfering, and therefore a negative backflow will come to you. We have to be very careful with our children, cousin, family members, friends, lovers, nation, etc., that we are not trying to interfere with the correction and the repairs, because we're all sovereign beings. We're all sentient beings. And the more I try to interfere and repair, yes, we can pray for people. Yes, we can heal people, but we have to send them unconditional love from God directly, and not try to interfere in their life by telling them what they should do, by macromanaging and telling them what they should do, when they should do it. And if they don't do it, we get upset. Why are you telling me this, blah, blah, blah. If that is your case, you are interfering, and this is why your core is not integral. So when you're checking in with your core and your query, and you're asking yourself what's happening in your core, and you feel the tightness and the etc., what is it that's in there? Are you holding in there your desire to absorb, repair, edit other people in your life, their karma, is the string of difficulty that you're facing, whether it's health-wise, whether it is financial-wise, or lack of happiness, or however it manifests. Is it really yours? Or are you trying to interfere with the actual evolutionary process of a collective, a nation, a group of people, or an individual, or some family member or friend? And if that is the case, you have to step out of the way. You have to figure out a way to become detached. And it's very hard when it's somebody that you love. It's extremely complex. I have shared this many times in the past. My mother passed away some time ago, and, a year and a half ago. And I can tell you, when she became sick, it became extremely difficult for me to give her hands-on healing. Because given where I am energetically, when I try to give her hands-on healing, and she knowing who I am, she surrendered everything into me. And all of her karma, I would become sick for 3 to 4 days. I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. I picked up everything. I could do remote for her for no more than 10 to 15 minutes. That's all I could do. But doing hands-on on her, I couldn't do it. I picked up everything. Everything it's like I inhale all of her karma. And her ill and everything that she's feeling, it becomes mine. And I have to do a lot of cleansing, a lot of removal for the next 3 to 4 days to go back to myself again. So to have that detachment and be able to still heal someone you love is the goal and the ideal. To have preference, but not attachments. To know that you're asking God to help somebody that you love, like your own flesh and blood, and yet at the same time, not try to interfere with their growth and their path. And if in this instance, they have chosen to suffer physically by disease or by any other means, you have to allow the universe to teach them, instead of trying to take fairy dust by your own ego and device and blow it on them to have it repaired. It is a huge lesson in non-attachments. And that's the goal. We have to get ourselves to a point where we become non-attached. So as you do this check in your core, I'm saying this to you because you all have people that you love. You have causes that you care for very deeply. There's so many things happening around the world that could cause any of us to unravel, and because we're connected in some ways to events, situation, abuse, people in pain and suffering from all over, we're all connected to them. We may think intellectually, oh, this is not affecting me. Don't lie. You can lie to me, but don't lie to yourself. You can lie to me all the time, but you cannot lie to yourself. When you sit in your core and you're doing this examination, if you're that involved and that connected, you're going to feel the constriction. You're attached. So you need to sit down and begin to stop lying to your own self. Because whatever that discomfort, that fear, and you can, let's be realistic. And I'm gonna share this because I'm gonna be very intimate. This is the way I teach. There are moments that I have to catch myself because I listen to myself. I have to catch myself. There are times where I begin to talk so fast that I forget to breathe because I'm in such a rush to share with you what I know, and there's so much coming in. And if I'm not breathing and I'm not in surrender and I'm not allowing God to let the words that I'm saying touch your soul and let your higher power and God touch you by planting a seed and allow the seed to evolve and grow at its own rate. And when I'm talking that fast, that it's my ego that's getting involved. I have noticed as well when my clients and students are talking to me sometime, they start, particularly when an issue is important to them, they start talking so fast that they're not breathing. If that is the case, your core has constriction in it. You're holding something because you're trying to control and to do something that you should not be interfering or doing at all. You are not in surrender. I know this to be the case with me. When I'm talking so fast that I'm not breathing, I realize I'm not inhaling. I have to calm down and I have to allow, and I'm saying this as a generalization because it happens to all of us, given everything that's going on. If any of you were not experiencing this, something would have been terribly wrong with you. So I have to calm down and I have to speak in a very different way. And I have to say to myself, okay, I'm constricted, my core is not well. Let me breathe and let me drop into it and try to see what information that part of my body is trying to share with me. Where is the misalignment? Where is the back door? What am I not understanding? What am I not seeing? Is it a physical thing? Is it a food thing? Is it a emotional thing? Or is it the diet that I'm feeding myself spiritually? What I mean by diet, what am I exposing myself to? What kind of movies, books, if you're watching horror movies, if you're watching the news and watching all kinds of things about destruction and fear, and if you're engulfed and deeply seep in conspiracy theories, if you're watching all these YouTube channels that are telling you doomsday is coming, if you're doing you're feeding yourself the wrong diet, the wrong spiritual diet. So I spend a lot of time as I'm doing this core analysis and conversation, this core active listening. I release all attachment, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. And as I do this, I open my core and I begin to feel what I feel, and I let information show up for me that were not there before. What is it that I'm holding around my chest? What is it that I'm holding at my shoulder blades? What is it that I'm holding at my foot? What is it that I'm holding in my mouth? What is it that I'm holding in my head? And whatever that information is, it may not come the first day, but I guarantee you over the course of circling Jericho and going around it several times, it will pop open. And a knowing and information that you didn't know before will show up. One of the things that showed up for me, and I've spoken about this in other contexts, and it happened in the analysis of my core, in my active listening, was the false belief, because I grew up deeply Christian, on sacrifice, that I had to lose something every time I gave to somebody. Because like Christ, who sacrificed himself for the world, as a good Christian, since I'm trying to emulate and be like him, I have to sacrifice too. I have to lose something. And this is completely erroneous. It's the greatest lie that the church has ever perpetrated on us. It's untrue. The universe does not require. When I spoke, after I did, I became knowledgeable. I saw this. I remember my God self, my higher self said to me, "I don't require this from you. This is a lie. Nothing created, nothing destroyed. That's the law of the universe. There's no loss. There's only transmutation and change from one state to another. There is no loss. Everything is infinity and perpetually renewing. That sacrifice is a lie. That is immense, and I'm still unpacking it. That is immense for me, because I did this my entire life, and I suspect previous lifetime as well. And so for me right now, it's to unpack exactly what that is for me. And it was through the analysis of my core and the stuff that was picking up around the left side of my pelvic bones. And all of a sudden, it was like the sacrifice, the belief in sacrifice. I shared with you with this, that I grew up, and I remember my mom would say all the time, "I'm raising 4 kids alone. I have to sacrifice everything to make sure that you have your uniforms and you can go to the best school." And I have to say, I heard this my entire life growing up. If you're sacrificing, you're giving from your ego. Because if you connect to true abundance and flow of the universe, there is no sacrifice. You're just lens that allow infinity to focus like a laser beam as it passes through you onto someone else. Now, I'm good about this when I do energetic healing, because I go in the torsion field and I'm in neutrality, and I'm able to do this better. And as I radiate this beautiful energy field of the torsion field, and I put the person in the torsion field, I can take them into source. I keep the analogy and the way I see myself when I'm doing my hands-on healing or remote healing is that I'm a train conductor. I become neutral. I ask for them to go into neutrality as well. The torsion field is created around me and them separately, 2 separate occasions. And then I elevate them and take them into the liberation, the healing, and the rest that I know. I bring them into that rest. And I drop them into a pool of light. I just drop them. Or the other analogy I use a lot, it's like, think of them as a rock in your hand and you're throwing it into a lake and you toss it. In other words, I'm not doing any work, I'm just throwing them in. And I'm letting the universe, and I'm letting infinity times infinity pour into them the exact solution, set, and repair that they need. It is not up to me to figure it out. I don't need to intellectually be involved and tell them, do this, move that. I'm not doing Reiki where I'm pushing symbol to this location and I'm trying to change the state of their cellular structure and move this. I'm not doing any of this. I just toss them into the pool of light. And I let that primordial soup repair them to the degree that they are willing to accept. Because if everyone were to be really open to receive, by the way, because a lot of time the clients and the person you're trying to do the repair for are not willing, they can only accept so much change in information at a time. Otherwise, they feel undeserving of the repair. But if everyone were really to accept everything, because I've had clients like this, they get off the table or the healing is done, the remote is done, and immediately, it's instantaneous like this. The change occurs. everything is transformed within the chain. The pain is gone, the disease is gone, it's just automatic. So that blessed field, that pool of light, will do the repair according to what the person is willing to accept. Sometimes they are not ready to accept everything, and they have to come back and do 3 more sessions or however many things, or they have to repair something. They have to change their mindset. They have to accept that the universe can heal them in a snap. No, in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. They have to be, or an hour of healing. They have to be willing to accept this. Because the people who are willing to accept, they speak differently when they get off the table. They say, thank you so much for the blessing. I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you. The one who are not willing to accept, they will get up. Oh my God, I cannot believe that the pain in my back is gone. If they cannot believe it, it will be back in a week. It's going to be back. Because they're telling it to you. I cannot believe. So when I connect, going back to the core, when I connect to the core, I have to be bluntly, you all have to, if you don't do this, there is no ascension. I'm just being completely honest with you. This is the biggest golden nugget of knowledge I'm giving you now. You need to stop lying to yourself and be honest. When you're checking your core, what is really happening? What are you holding? Who's responsible? What are you trying to control that you should not be controlling? That's causing your core to be so constricted. When you're unhappy and you can breathe, and you're being difficult with people around you, you're what's the word? You're cranky. You what is it in your core? Stop focusing on people and saying blame everybody else. It's other people, they're doing this, that. It's not other people, it's in you. You're trying to control something about them. Can you go within yourself and stop controlling? You cannot control what other people do, but you can control how you react to what they do to you. And by going in your core and aligning your consciousness to that kind of like that kind of a protocol, you will begin to be honest, so profoundly honest that you will realize, I'm trying to move and control this, that I shouldn't put my finger on this. I have to exist in that razor sharp edge. Ascension, I've said this before, ascension is a thin line that exists between surrender and doing. There are times where we have to act and do. But there are other times where we have to simply step back and let go of everything. We have to enter into the rest of God. So as I do this practice and I have this inner conversation, I begin to be knowledgeable and things begin to pop open for me. I see things I didn't see before. And I realize the degree to which, as I connect to these discomfort, the degree to which, let's say, the sacrifice became a backdoor for all these other forces to come in for me and to inflate things and make them really big. When in fact, if I can close that back door, they will not be able to touch me. Or if I'm trying, if it's a friend or family member I'm trying to help, and I'm absorbing their karma because I'm trying to help them and I care for them very deeply. And in the process, they're occupying mental real estate. I keep thinking, if your mind is running and you're thinking about something, whether it's something that's happening to a people or nation or a family member, friend, and you keep thinking about it, it's occupying real estate, you're absorbing somebody else's karma. It's none of your business. This is what they should do. They should do that, and you're going in your head and your monkey mind is running. You are not in surrender. It is a subtle thing, but it's a critical thing that we need to get right. We are all guilty of it, including me. And as we become more and more connected to the surrender, and we begin, and what I do is that I release all attachment, feels in control. When I realize I'm trying to control, it's the karma of someone else I'm trying to absorb, or not absorb, but I'm interfering in the application of their karma. I'm interfering in the way the karma should be connected directly to them, and there is a backflow coming toward me, causing me all kinds of problems. I need to extract myself out of this and let them go through whatever they need to go through. I can advise them. It's not that I'm not going to say anything. I can advise them, but I cannot be attached to the outcome and how they handle it. I'll give you an advice. I walk away. I don't hear from you for 3 days or a week. That's fine. I don't need to having a conversation with you in my head. This is what you should do. If you're in that state, you're absorbing karma. You're basically empathing, meaning you're absorbing other people's burden. You're psychic spying. You're putting your nose and your consciousness into what it shouldn't be. It should not be doing. If someone asks you, that's a different story. You ask me, I can step in and say, I'm going to do this, etc. That's the ideal situation, right? And then you provide them the help. Again, you take them into the pool of light, you drop them, they just need a little push, a little guidance, and then the peace and the serenity that I know, I pass it on to you. And for a moment, I create an expansion, a breather for you to understand what freedom really feels like. You don't need to be running around chasing your tail. You can experience what it is like to be really unburdened. That being the case, the moment that happened, if the person truly enjoy being unburdened, they may ask you further question, how do I get to that state by myself? Then you train them, you educate them, you show them the step that they have to do. I don't have to change you. That's the point. I don't have to go after you and cause and create a catalytical change in you. That's not what I'm here to do. I can be your friend and provide you with love. I can be your family and provide you with support without taking your burden with me. So the empathing thing is big because a lot of us are literally psychic spies. We're busy listening and feeling everybody else and trying to psychically or otherwise calling them and interfering with them. And if you do this, they will resent you to no end. Because what you're picking is correct, and they will feel that it's an invasion and a violation of their sovereignty. And they will resent you for it. And they will attack you vehemently because they will feel that it's a rape and it's a violation. There are so many things that I sense and I know that I keep my mouth quiet. I say absolutely nothing. The biggest secret in the universe is to know when to speak and when to remain silent. There is incredible power in silence. Sense of omission and sense of commission. There are moments where you have to hold your peace just because you know somebody. And I have to say, I'm going to say something that I hope you don't understand, that I'm not being characterized as being sexist. But the way gender process information is very different. As a man, and not women are the same, but as a man in general, we tend not to really worry about the details. I don't need to know blow by blow all the information and all the detail. I'm not interested. I don't need to know. On the other hand, women tend to want to know all the details. And the moment that happens, your consciousness now, that thing that you know is occupying real estate in your mind. You're now enmeshed. You're emotionally enmeshed and you're carrying this inside of you. And it's in your core. And when you go in the morning to do your lineup, it's clogging. And you may end up having digestive and intestinal issue because of it. Or nausea. Because you're holding everybody's stuff in you. You don't need to know the details. It's not important. Surrender, let go. I have somebody who called me this morning actually, and this afternoon, asking me for help, nausea. And this is a client, and I know what situation is going on, and it's connected to karma, family karma that she's trying to resolve and hold within her core. So we have to allow ourselves to surrender and open and let go of all the stuff, because a lot, again, as I said, we lie to ourselves all the time. You can lie to me, or at least you can think that you're lying to me. That's fine. I don't need to confront you, but you cannot lie to yourself. When you go in that call, what you're holding, that's not yours. That's somebody else's karma, or somebody else's burden. But you're, because of the diet you're feeding yourself, because of the concern that you have about friends, family members, and because what you're empathing in your sleep, you need to let go of all of it. Because when you do, you will enter the rest of God. You will become unburdened. The church talks about the rest of the Holy Spirit. It's the same thing. Any questions or any comments?
Yeah,
Yes.
you talk. I'm going back. I'm going way back. You talked about the sacrifice.
Mhm.
You also mentioned that now I know better, but you also mentioned that the church make us believe on the sacrifice that Jesus did on the cross for us.
Mhm.
And therefore we have to sacrifice in order to gain something.
Mhm.
If it wasn't that type of sacrifice that Jesus did, what was it? Because since the the universe is abundant and the universe is this. I know that he came in because he wanted to change something. And they believe on the Old Testament, they believe that they used to sacrifice the lamb in order to get the blood of the lamb that was the salvation. Now, he became the lamb on the cross. I mean, I'm just a little bit.
There is no necessity for sacrifice because the universe is not okay. The only thing that you need to give up is your ego. It's your desire to do everything yourself. That's the only thing you need to crucify. It's your ego. It goes against all the laws that exist in the universe. I know the idea of the sacrifice of Christ and the saviors of the world, because before Jesus, there were 16 previous saviors, all of which also died on the cross, resurrected on the third day, and all that, and so on and so forth. The exact same thing, born of a virgin, the exact same pattern, resurrected, the exact same thing. And what I can say to you is that belief is connected more to a ritualistic thing that may be presented to you, so that the lower vibration and consciousness of humanity that cannot comprehend how the cosmos and the quantum field actually works, that a physical thing had to happen for them to believe, to remove the shame, the collective shame that they are holding, so that someone needed to do something in their behalf. But in a quantum world, which is all around us, in us and outside of us and everywhere, there is no need for this. And as we emancipate back into the 5D, the sacrifice is a lower vibration and thing that we don't need to do. None of us need to do it because it's not true. It's a lower form of demonstration that needs to happen so that people, it's a zerapin, it's a shield, it's what they call a little face of God. It's a lower demonstration of how universal law happened. We have shame, we have undeservedness, and the only way we can accept the shame and the undeservedness, somebody has to sacrifice something to apply a great effort to remove the shame. Effort is not the same thing as sacrifice. Right now, the practice that I'm describing to you of sitting down and analyzing your call and doing all this very subtle little nuanced thing to realize I'm absorbing the karma, I'm doing this, this doesn't belong to me, somebody else's, I have to change my diet, all these little things that we need to do, that's the effort. But it's not a sacrifice. I don't need to lose anything. You have to you have to make an effort to overcome your stagnation and your belief in separation of consciousness. But you don't need to sacrifice anything. I know this like I know the back of my hand. But I cannot split your head and put this in you. You have to go in meditation and try to figure out the deeper meaning for you as you're deeply Christian. But I can tell you it's a lower frequency and vibration that Christ came in, like he said, I have come to fulfill the law. He came in to demonstrate to lower density, hard head individual something that will make them believe that their sins and their burdens are removed. But totally unnecessary. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I will understand what you're saying, but I will I will figure it out.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, no problem.
I'm gonna have to, I don't know, but I will figure it out.
Yeah. It's a zerapine. It's a zerapine. It's the little fist of God. What I'm trying to elevate you, it's an expansion, something much bigger.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Not a problem. Anybody else? Any questions? Any comments? So the analysis or the active listening, and by the way, one of the other benefit of doing this kind of like inner conversation on a daily basis is that it also gives me incredible, because in other, for me, for example, if I believe in the sacrifice for my entire life and I was doing this from what I perceive to be the wrong place and I'm trying to correct it, the first thing I need to do, I have to forgive myself for having believed like this for the past 50 years in my life, that this was the truth. I have to accept myself for not being perfect and not seeing this before. I am, and so, or if I'm seeing that I'm absorbing someone else's karma, a friend or a family member, and I'm absorbing their stuff, and I'm allowing, because I'm trying to change them and alter them in some ways. I'm trying to, shift them. And well, as I do this, and as I realize this, when I see someone else in my life, a friend, a family member, or client, because all of them goes back to me realizing that there is a blockage. I'm taking complete responsibility for everything that happens to me through my call. I'm not focusing on the outside. I'm taking responsibility within myself. And as I do this and I'm sitting down with it and I'm completely sitting, I begin to notice that I have to accept the fact that I am imperfect in my call, through all of the external experiences and the construction that are existing. I am seeing, feeling my imperfections. And when I sit with them and they begin to reveal to me information, insights, breakthroughs that I didn't know were there before. And as I resolve them by surrendering it, I release all attachment, fears, and control, and I surrender. I release it all to God. When I do this, then a solution set shows up for me. For me, for example, with the sacrifice, everything exists in infinity times infinity. Give and receive from infinity times infinity. If you move the ego out of the way and you allow yourself to give and receive, everything shifts in a completely different way. I can do it energetically with healing, but in other aspects of my life, I'm not able to do it. Well, not elegantly, let's put it this way. I can do it sometimes, but not elegantly. And I'm working on that, right? And so what I can say to you is that I am noticing as I do this, that the next thing that occurs when I'm sitting in my core is that after each pocket opens up and I get the insight and I release and I let go and I release and I let go, there comes a point where I enter finally the true rest of God. It's a place where there is no burden. It's a place where everything is still and everything is silent. And as I keep breathing in and out, allowing that rest and that silence to occupy my consciousness, suddenly I can begin to see the landscape of higher densities. This becomes like a gateway through which I can access 4D, 5D, 6D, and beyond. I can go all the way to the throne room of God if I am in complete and utter surrender. So as I do this and I keep breathing deeply and slowly, and I allow all that information to open up for me, I begin to ultimately find that rest, the peace. And I become now better at empathy. And it's real empathy where I'm not trying to control or somehow edit and tell people what they should be doing. I begin now to accept people for where they are. So I'm going to give you an example. My two friends that I see on a daily basis when I go for my walk, that we meet on the waterfront, and we spend time together and all that, they were having a political argument. One is more conservative than the other, and I'm kind of in the middle. They were asking me questions about this, that, or the other in politics. And the female got upset because the other guy is more conservative, and they were kind of going back and forth arguing, and I was the one that was kind of meeting the peace. And this was 2 days ago. So yesterday, 3 days ago, and yesterday the gentleman arrived a little bit early. He said, I don't know what I said or what I did to her. She was so upset with me. I walked out of there thinking that maybe you guys will not want to hang out with me anymore. And all that. I'm looking at him and I said, I love you. You're my friend. I'm not trying to change you. You can have your opinion. You can feel in whatever way you feel. That's not going to change the love that I have for you. You are at a stage in your evolution, and wherever that is, my love is not going to change for you. Because I know in your core, you're a good person. And that love is not going to stop. So there is a kind of profound acceptance of the shortcoming, the brokenness, and the imperfection that exists in others, because I am also imperfect in me. It's a very different thing, because in most spiritual circle, we're trying to emulate Jesus or an angel or a saint and all that. And you have very high standard that if somebody does not look exactly like Christ or is Christ-like, we reject them, that there's something wrong with them. we banish them out, they're demonic, we project all kinds of things on them. This is a complete, true spirituality involved accepting. This is where true love comes in. This is the love that Christ was trying to teach us. Love thy neighbor as thyself. When you see somebody broken, not perfect, and you still can love them, again, as I said, my two friends are very different than each other. I love them both equally. And I'm not trying to change neither one of them. They ask my opinion every once in a while. I tell them here and there. And then after that, I walk back home and I don't think of them again. I'm okay. They text me every once in a while, asking me about this, and we respond, we call each other. But that's the extent of it. So I end up having a very healthy spiritual connection with them because I'm not trying to. They are changing. I'm not saying that they are not growing and they're not changing. They're changing better because I'm not trying to control it. That's what I'm trying to, I'm leading to. Because it's the God within me without my ego involvement that is guiding them, because I have no attachment to how quickly they change, if they change tomorrow to today, or if they die, and when they die, they don't change at all, and they wait till the next lifetime. I'm not attached. Doesn't matter. My love is still equal and is still there for all of them. So it's a huge thing to be in that state, by the way, because it gives you, it's very hard to explain. I'm not courting them to a certain kind of standard. I'm not, and the thing that I'm certainly not doing, and this is what we typically do when we're trying to have somebody to be in the lens or filter of a religion or a belief system or a political idealism, a political filter. We have these filters when we project them through, and we are judging them for not being like us. We're judging them. I'm not judging any of them. They can have any opinion that they want. I'm not judging them. In time, the tikkun and the correction, all of us, or tikkun or correction will happen. That's true for all of us. In time. I'm just going to allow the correction and the tikkun to take place. And let the universe make it occur in the right timing. Not my timing, but God's timing. Any other questions or comments that you may have? All right, let's take a 5-minute break. And in the back end, we'll do a closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And notice what you noticed. Realize that you can perceive 360 degrees. And notice what you noticed. Listen. Listen as if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. Become aware of your core and notice what you noticed. What kind of sensations, perceptions, feelings, discomfort, that may exist in your core. What kind of information does the discomfort have to share with you? Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your inner intelligence communicate with you as you listen with the more than 50 trillion cells in your body. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness endless luminosity. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender into the great emptiness and endless luminosity. I enter the rest, the surrender, and the stillness of God. Let the insights, the breakthroughs, of the blessed field enveloped my entire being in consciousness in all dimensions of time and space, and in this and all universes. I am at rest everywhere, and I am unburdened in every cells of my body and in every aspects of my consciousness. Let the expansion into this rest, surrender, and repair release my consciousness into the blessed field of the emptiness and endless luminosity. May I become illumined of mind, body, and soul. May I become the lens through which infinity times infinity can be grounded and anchored here on earth. May I become an agent for the grounding and the precipitation of divine law, miraculous healing, endless and perpetual renewal. To be manifested for all life forms. And may the bioregenesis of Sophia and Shakti be accomplished by this means. And may the 144,000 broadcast the entrainment, the love, the projection of a better world. Of light, of luminosity, of freedom, of liberation. For every life forms, for every element, for every cell, every atom, every subatomic particle, for a complete return back into the bosom of God. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. How are you all feeling?
Great. Thank you, Pierre.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for listening to me tonight. If you're listening to us on Patreon, thank you for your support. For those of you on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all, and I'll talk to you next week. Blessings. Love you all.